Welcome back, everybody. So Parliament has denied weekend reports in which the EFF says staff will be retrenched. Parliament does, however, say it wants to offer voluntary retirement packages. The body is also at loggerheads with trade union Nehawu over performance bonuses, and the National Assembly is set to vote by the end of the month on the Public Protector's fitness to hold office. So there is much activity in the chambers currently. To discuss this, we are joined by Parliamentary spokesperson Moloto Mothapo. Moloto, good to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Leah, and good morning to the viewers.
So as we understand, Parliament wants to offer early retirement packages to employees. Can you confirm this, and what would these packages actually entail?
Yes, so what is happening, the early retirement package mechanism, as we have explained in the statement, it is intended for the workers who are almost at retirement age, maybe say 3 years or 4 years before they reach their retirement age, and they want to leave earlier so that they can pursue other things or just perhaps to rest, given that they've been working for so long. So this mechanism, therefore, is intended to assist them to be able to indeed retire early so that they don't have to spend the rest of the years here in Parliament. So that will also assist Parliament as well, given that it's confronted by the challenge of budget cuts from the National Treasury. So to prioritize those positions and find the best mechanism or way that we can continue to offer quality service to the members of Parliament to fulfill their constitutional functions. So we are in discussion with the National Treasury regarding this, because we will need their support to be able to effect this kind of mechanism. So the discussions are ongoing. So we are really concerned that the statement of the EFF seems to have completely misrepresented and actually the opposite of what is happening in Parliament here.
So from what we heard from the EFF, basically saying that to read it, they're saying that Parliament intends to cut a significant number of its workforce. Are you denying this?
No. Yes, absolutely. The statement is patently false. And unfortunately, it has really caused unnecessary panic and anxiety amongst the staff. So as I was saying, the reality is that Parliament is not at all considering retrenchment and has never even discussed this. So on the contrary, what is actually happening is that in 2019, we had discussion with the worker representative Nehawu regarding the proposal of workers themselves, that as some of them were on the verge of retirement age, as I was saying, Parliament should put in place some mechanism to allow them to opt out for voluntary retirement package. So Parliament has been considering this, and we are talking with the National Treasury. So as you've correctly called it, it is voluntary early retirement package. So, and it is something that has been proposed by workers themselves, and it is something that cannot be used as a tool to force staff members out, because it is voluntary. So once we get there, it is approved by the National Treasury and Parliament, workers will have an option of applying for it for consideration to say, I am Moloto Mothapo, I've been working for Parliament for this number of years, and I want to retire, maybe 3 years before my retirement age. And then Parliament will consider such an application.
Okay. So from our understanding, and perhaps you can correct us if we're wrong, Parliament has around about 1,300 people working for it. Is that the correct number?
Yes, the exact number will be 1,309.
Right. So will Parliament replace those who do choose to go on early retirement or not?
Well, because I'm talking about, because as I was saying, there's no secret that due to decrease in revenue collection, partly as a result of the tax base getting smaller due to higher unemployment, business closing down, COVID-19. So Parliament is also feeling the pinch with cuts in the budget allocation from the Treasury. So the Treasury has advised Parliament that we will have significant cuts in our budget for the next financial year. The consequence of which is that remuneration budget will be the most affected, which means that the few hundred vacancies we are currently having, because even though we've got a staff of 1,309, but there are a number of vacancies that we are having. Some of them have got quite a significant, important post to the structure of Parliament to assist members to fulfill their functions. So, as you know, the staff provide, MPs with the support that they need to fulfill their constitutional functions. And currently, we've got a staff complement to MP ratio of about 2 to 1 MP. Two staff to 1 MP, which is far less than the average requirement by international standards. So, despite the challenges, of course, we are not considering retrenchments, and we are hoping that out of the positions, vacancies that will be created by members who take up this offer or mechanism, then we should be able to reprioritize and find ways of continue to assist Parliament to fulfill its constitutional function despite all these vacancies and despite the cuts in treasury allocation.
So just simply put, the people that leave, you're not going to be replacing these positions. Obviously, you have said Treasury has slashed your budget, and is this one way to try and work around? So no replacements. If you leave, that position will not be replaced. You will try and maneuver other members.
Not necessarily just to say that they won't be replaced, but it will help to reprioritize the budget. For instance, perhaps if you were going to hire this level of positions, then you will look at those positions to say that out of these vacancies, which ones we should be prioritizing or we should have first. So in certain instances, some of many positions will not be filled, of course, because of no budget, but in certain instances, as very important positions to the structure to enable Parliament to continue to do its work will be reprioritized and perhaps be filled.
Perhaps you can give us an idea of your budget. I mean, when we talk about Treasury slashing your budget, how much funds do you actually have to work with, and how exactly does Parliament operate with that budget?
Yeah, we've been getting a budget of about, in the past financial years, of about 2 billion. And I think the next financial year, there is a 180 million that has been cut from the budget. As I've said, mostly the effect will be on the remuneration package. Parliament, most of its budget will go to the remuneration of staff, the benefits of members of Parliament, and then, of course, it must go also to the constitutional functions of Parliament, the areas where Parliament exists to serve, which is the oversight over the executive, lawmaking, public participation, so which are very, very, very important.
So, in terms of the EFF's assertions, where do they come up with this? Because if we do see that there is a big cut from National Treasury, there certainly are going to be shortfalls. You are asking members if they would like to retire early. We won't be filling these positions, but you will be paying them out. So there's obviously the talk that you need to mitigate the shortfalls from National Treasury. It's quite a bit of money that you are losing out on. So surely there's some truth to what the EFF was saying, or are you completely denying it?
No. It's like I said, Leanne, it's completely false, that statement, because early retirement packages are not the same as retrenchment. Retrenchment is something else. When you normally get retrenched, you don't have a say in it, much say in it. You have to go. You are asked to leave. This one, it is something that workers themselves, the early retirement mechanism, it is something that the members of the staff, Parliament staff themselves, particularly those who are almost at the retirement age, have asked.
Okay, so nobody will be forced. So what you're saying, Moloto, is nobody will be forced.
It is completely voluntary. It will no one will be forced. Once the mechanism is in place, you will not be forced to apply for it if you don't want to retire early. But if you want to retire early, you will be given an opportunity to apply, and you will be considered. Okay. And probably not everyone who wants to retire early because every case will be judged on merit. So not everyone who wants to retire early will be successful. The application will be successful.
Yeah. So what? Just to ask my question again a bit earlier, how do you plan on mitigating this shortfall from Treasury?
Yeah, that's why we are saying that some of the interventions that Parliament is putting in place is to ensure that in terms of, for instance, if this mechanism comes into place, one of the ways that will use the budget that the staff who wants to retire early will have left from the vacancies that would have been created by the staff who wants to leave early. One of the things will be to reprioritize the position that needs to be filled, because of course we cannot fill all the positions anymore.
All right.
Of course, there's been some saving also with regard to the business of Parliament being conducted. A significant portion of the business of Parliament being conducted virtually in the past year. So some of the savings from there will also go towards boosting the other areas of the business of Parliament, so that these budget cuts do not unnecessarily have an effect on them.
All right. Moloto, Parliament is also at loggerheads with the National Education, Health and Allied Work, NEHAWU, the union, over the payment of annual performance bonuses to eligible employees. So just some background, NEHAWU claiming that the institution's management has failed to honour an initial agreement that the two parties had entered into to reward all workers who had met the requirements for performance bonuses. Please talk to us about this a little bit more. Will Parliament or won't Parliament be giving performance bonuses?
Well, Leanne, we know that there is contractual agreement between staff as well as the institution with regard to performance bonuses. And as we are all aware, and that this has been the thrust of our discussion, the budget cuts. Meaning that there is a lot of reprioritization that needs to take place, as I've said. There is a need for all stakeholders in Parliament to, having looked at these figures, because these figures are not secret, we all have access to them, and we need to have a conversation as to how do we want Parliament to continue to be effective, to conduct and fulfill its functions under the Constitution, under the climate of this reduced revenue connection, which of course affect Parliament as well. So that conversation is ongoing. We are in discussion with NEHAWU on how to resolve this matter, so that we don't have a situation whereby we don't even have the adequate budget to pay for the salaries of the staff. So that's a conversation that is ongoing, and we are confident that we'll be able to find an amicable solution to the current challenges, together with all the stakeholders involved.
All right, Moloto, one final issue that needs to just be discussed within Parliament, the National Assembly, that says by, I think it's the end of this month, members of Parliament will be seeing whether to proceed with the impeachment process against Public Protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane's fitness to hold office. This, of course, following the Parliament's establishment of the independent panel. It's found that prima facie evidence of incompetence and misconduct on the part of Mkhwebane. So how soon is the process to allow MPs to vote in this regard going to happen? And also, how will the vote be conducted? Will it be a secret ballot? Because currently the ANC has reportedly instructed its MPs to not vote against the Public Protector while opposition parties want her gone. So how transparent is the process going to be?
Well, as you know, the Parliament is an open institution. Everything is transparent. That is the obligation under the Constitution. So there is nothing that will be conducted secretly or behind or on campus. So the entire process, as we have seen, beginning from the moment that the motion of the Democratic Alliance on the matter was considered by the Speaker, it has been transparent. once the Speaker has taken a decision that the motion must be given to an independent panel of 3 experts to conduct assessment regarding the existence of facie evidence to warrant any further action by Parliament, and that process was also transparent. And as you correctly say, that panel now has concluded its business, and what we have now is a report of recommendations as well as the findings, and it is scheduled for consideration next week in the National Assembly. So essentially what will happen is that members of Parliament, they have already received copies of this panel report together with its findings and recommendations. They will have to go through it, and then when they meet, I think that will be the 16th of March next week, when they meet in the National Assembly, they will debate that report and finally vote on it. So vote is a simple majority, which is 50 plus 1 of the majority that is required in order to pass such a report. But if they reject it as well, then it will go no further. So once it is, but if it is accepted, then it will go to a committee to be given to a special committee that will conduct all the inquiry, including inviting the public protector. Right. Then it will come, that will report then to the National Assembly for a vote, which will require 2/3 majority.
Still a process to go through, so we'll keep updated on that one. Parliament spokesperson Moloto Mothapo talking to us about quite a few issues that are happening at Parliament at the moment. Thanks again for being with us. All right, it's